Hello there and welcome to JJ Painting. And what do we do on this here channel for those of you who are new? Well, obviously we talk about the hobbies. Sometimes it's reviewing the codexes, sometimes it's tips and tricks of gaming, sometimes it's a retrospect of the hobby itself, sometimes we talk about the lore, sometimes it's a John Can Explain. There's loads here. And today's video is a bit of a different one. So I was originally going to do a way of keeping an eye out for scammers on eBay when you're buying second models. As some of you may know, I did a video all about budgeting for Warhammer and doing Warhammer on a budget. And this is very much a continuation of that line of thought. But rather than, like I said, looking out for scammers, let's talk about people who do something right. Look about the guys who get it spot on and the ones who actually provide a really good service and provide some really solid models, even if they are second hand, even if they do need a bit of work done to them before they get there. But these guys are reliable, they're punctual, they're very communicative. And here are my top sellers that you will find on eBay. I've used most of these guys for many, many years and I've never had a problem with them. Things do vary depending on where you're ordering them from and what you're doing in terms of postage, but these guys have always come out on tops, and hopefully their feedback should speak for itself. And whilst I tell you all about the fantastic sellers I'm about to talk about today, keep your eye out for this model, because here's who we will be painting. And without further ado, let's crack on. But before we get crack on, I probably should just make it very clear that none of them give me money for this. They don't know I'm making this video. I'm very much just doing this from the guys who I've had good experiences with. This isn't about them promoting or sponsoring. There's been no exchange of cash or contracts or anything like that. This is just me bigging up the guys who've done a good job so far. So keep an ear out for that, and YouTube people, bear that in mind as well when you watch this video back. But in any case, now we can crack on. Up first, WARGAMES. WARGAMES, and I'm not doing this in alphabetical order, just so you know, but I'm going to start with these guys because of the double A's. Anyway, WARGAMES. The thing I like about these guys is everything they do starts at a 99p auction on eBay, and the great thing about them is that you can get quite a lot, and they have a really good variety of models across the 40k Age of Sigmar, and occasionally the Lord of the Rings range. Obviously, everything they have is second hand, and it tends to be quite small units, hence the low buy-in price, but you can get everything from regular Space Marines to Plague Marines to Dire Avengers, even to Greater Demons sometimes as well, which might be a little bit more expensive, but it was all still there and it is all still really good, and it's nice to be able to get hold of relatively easily as well. Another good thing about them is their postage prices are really reasonable, their delivery times are very swift, and everything tends to arrive in pretty good condition. Obviously, because it's second-hand models, sometimes the models themselves are not in one piece when they are put up on the website. When you see them on eBay, sometimes they aren't actually intact, they can be broken, and obviously if it's already broken, then they're just going to be sold like that, but that's just how it works with second-hand models. So WARGAMES, really good for second-hand stuff, very cheap buy-in cost, but obviously because it is an auction, sometimes you can get an absolute bargain, sometimes things will mean the price will go up ever so slightly just if multiple people want it, but that's what happens with an eBay auction, so WARGAMES, well worth checking out. Number 2 on my list of sellers that sell miniatures is another one called Aquila Games. Now, Aquila Games are a little bit different to WARGAMES. What I like about Aquila is they can do things in squads, a bit like but they tend to also do things more in bulk. So you can get 2 or 3 squads of Space Marines, you can get up to 20 Orc Boys, you can get quite a few things in bulk, as it were. Just like they do things that are second-hand, so obviously they will be pre-painted, some of them will be fully built. Occasionally you do get unbuilt models on both of them as well, so and Aquila. You can get models that are still on sprue, and obviously things are a little bit different price-wise there, but Aquila tends to do a buy it now rather than a auction, so things will be a little bit higher, but the price is the price, and you don't have to worry about being outbid a bit further down the line. And obviously this means that when you're buying at a set price, you've got a bit of certainty if you want to go away and come back, and you're not having to set a date in your diaries for when the auction ends. If you want to set a date in your diary for when the auction ends, that can pay off very well, but if you don't have time for that, then Aquila is a really good one, and they will be linked down below as well. Now, the next up on my list is a favourite of mine, because they came onto the scene about the first time I started getting on eBay, and that is Games Thrift Shop. Yes, they're called Games Thrift Shop. Now, they've been on eBay for a little while, and they started getting on eBay about the same time I was, so it's nice to see how they've developed over the years. They're quite similar to Aquila in the sense that you can get units and you can get individual captains and characters that are, again, second-hand and painted in some cases, and the quality of the models in terms of damage varies just like the other two, but they also do quite a lot of stuff at set prices as well. I think they do occasionally allow you to send best offers if you are able to. Don't quote me on that, they don't have it on everything, but I have seen it on there with them a couple of times, so it's something to keep an eye out for, and it can be quite nice. Like I said, it's not on everything, but I have seen it on 1 or 2 of their models. So a company that does buy it now for second-hand models, very stable pricing, very reasonable as well, always great dispatch times just like the other two as well, and really good communications as well.
And number 4 on my list is a company that I've become quite familiar with recently, and that is Into the Warp. Now, Into the Warp are another one which I rate very highly as well. Not only do they do stuff which has got a lot of variety to it, so you can get everything from Space Marines to Chaos Marines to Death Guard to Drakari to Stormcasts. There's a bit of everything on there and a really good selection. It's, again, cheap stuff you can get hold of, and it's done by units. Occasionally you get bundles of things, and the other thing which is nice about them is that occasionally you will get a 5% off a cent off if you've got them on your watch list, where they'll take 5% off certain things, which can sometimes be a nice little bonus if you want to get it a little bit cheaper. So check out Hayley and her team. I only know her name's Hayley because she came up on an email of mine. Sorry, the rest of you guys, I'll look up the rest of your names later. But yeah, so check out the team at Into the Warp. They're also really strong, and they do provide a lot of good stuff. And then up next is Troll Trader. Troll Trader are another good one as well. They tend to have excellent dispatch time, and they also have second-hand models and cheap models. But interestingly enough with them as well, is that they have a lot of stuff that is fully painted as well, and often at a quite good quality. So where are the others, it tends to be models that are either just undercoated or painted to a relatively basic standard, or just a base coat. With Troll Trader, you can get stuff that is fully painted. Obviously, the price for those is a bit higher, but if you'd rather get something that's fully painted, just put it on the tabletop, then Troll Trader is the place to go for you. And then this brings me to my last 2 on this list. The first one is Atlas 484. Now, they're an interesting one because they have a good variety of second-hand models as well, but they do something which is a bit closer to wholesale, where you can buy 20, 30 or 40 models of the same type, often for a little bit more than the other stuff as well, because it's smaller units, but it does mean that you can fill up your army really quickly, and you can get a large number of cheap models in bulk at a relatively reliable rate, and for a pretty good price as well. They're also really good with their dispatch time and getting all their information out, and I'd recommend checking them out just like the others. And then last one is one that I don't use very much anymore, because if you're like me living in the UK, then due to certain reasons, then trading with Europe is hard. But if you are on continental Europe, then check out Jedus 88, linked to below. They have a fantastically competitive set of prices. They often do best offers as well if you can get a decent bargain with them, and their shipping time is very quick. It was very quick before Britain had that whole thing that happened, which, you know, we don't need to mention right now, and obviously that meant that all the shipping times for the UK and the postage has gone up, but for the rest of Europe it's still very good and very cheap. So if you're a friend in Europe watching this, then check out Jedus 88, and again they'll be linked to below. They're a really good one for models. So just a quick recap for those guys: we got AA WARGAMES, Aquila Games, Games Thrift Shop, Jedus 88 in Europe, Into the Warp, and obviously Atlas 484. All good companies to get full models from. But if you just want individual components, just such as an arm, a leg, a bolt gun, a head, then there are some really strong bits companies out there. And my first one I'm going to start off with is Britannicus 14. They were the first bits company that I was examining way back when I started on eBay as well. They were one of the first companies that started to come up on my radar. They've got a really good variety of stuff, really reasonable postage, and they are really interesting in terms of how they do things. Obviously, you've got all the standard stuff that's broken down into individual and batch stuff, but occasionally you'll get just a bag of bits from across the Citadel ranges, and they'll just go up on eBay at a starting price of 99p in the auction format, and you can get things like entire Terminators in there, you can get sets of robes for Dark Angels, you can get all the bolt guns and combi weapons for Stern Guard. It's a really good deal and a really good way they do things. Plus, there have been times in the past where they've been very good with their customer service overall. I think I bought a couple of components from them, one day, one the next day, and they refunded me the postage difference and combined it, so that was really top notch of them. They didn't have to do that, so I really appreciate that, Britannicus 14. So Britannicus 14, the first one to mention. Also on my list of top bits companies is Witchfire Studios. They're another top one as well. Just like Britannicus, they have a huge amount of variety, and also like Britannicus, and a really good postage price. Just like Britannicus, obviously they combine all their postage and give out a lovely business card with every transaction, so you can find them quite easily. And the other thing about Witchfire Studio, which makes them worth mentioning, is they do stuff in individual and in bulk. So if you need 1 bolt gun or 5 bolt guns, then there's different ways of getting that with them. So that's another good one to keep in mind, and definitely one to keep your eyes out in case you ever need bits. Up next is a new one that I recently discovered, a new company-ish to the world of eBay, and that's Agarn Parts. Agarn Parts. They've only been around for about a year and a half at the time of recording, but they've definitely got a lot of good stuff going for them. I think their variety is absolutely fantastic at the moment. They've got a really solid shop going, and their reviews are absolutely fantastic from what I can see. I've only ordered 1 or 2 things with them, I believe, but everything's turned up in really good time and in really good condition, so they are making an impact, and definitely go and support them. Agarn Parts, another fantastic group that's well worth your time and definitely worth checking out. And then last of all, from the bits side of things, the bits front, as it were, is Atomic Bits. Now, they're a venerable one, a real veteran company. They've been around for well over 10 years, as far as I'm aware, and they've been doing bits for just about every army you can imagine in 40k. They've done incredibly good work over the years, and they've recently started getting more terrain stuff in there as well, so you can get a lot of the stuff from the Command Edition stuff from the 40k starter sets, and occasionally I think you can get buildings from like the various 40k and Age of Sigmar things as well, which is really interesting and really good for a bits company because it means that there's a bit more variety there. So if you do just need a handful of bolt guns, or you need a couple of shoulder pads or a storm shield, you can also buy some terrain pieces with them as well. But it's good because terrain is becoming more modular within Games Workshop and has been doing so over the years, and I do think it's really, really useful as well in the grand scheme of things to be able to get access to terrain if you want to customize your boards, especially as Games Workshop does have a lot of that out there at the moment. So just a really quick recap on our friends from the bits realm: Britannicus 14, Witchfire Studio, Atomic Bits, and obviously Agarn Parts. All really good companies, definitely worth checking out. And the thing I should make very clear right now is these guys are all really reliable, have hundreds and hundreds of positive feedback, comments, lots of top rated stuff. So these are people who are trustworthy, and irrespective of where you go, you are pretty much guaranteed a really good service. And they're all very responsive as well in my experience. I've never had any issues with them getting back to me. I think the longest delay I've ever had from getting a question from any of these guys answered was about 2 days, but they're very professional and well worth your time. So the last category is what I consider to be the guys who occasionally you need stuff, but it doesn't fall into the category of bits, and it doesn't really fall into the category either of full models. And this is where we start to talk about things like shoulder pads and transfers, because as we all know, Games Workshop has some lovely designs of shoulder pads and chapter symbols, but it doesn't always release them in a format that we can access particularly easily. But no more. There are a couple of fantastic companies that will cover that right now. And the first one I want to talk about is Marsforge. Now, Marsforge do a lot of resin custom shoulder pads. Now, they do things for the chapters that are around already, like the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels and the Dark Angels, but for the chapters such as the Flesh Tearers and for the Raven Guard successors and the Dark Angel successors, like the Flesh Tearers, for example, then you can get fully decaled shoulder pads with the race icon, which always looks really nice and I'm a big fan of. They are very professional, very reasonable price as well, and if you need shoulder pads, they're a bit cheaper than Games Workshop's upgrade sprue of about £10-15, and you need a large number of them, then these guys are definitely the ones to watch. So definitely check out Marsforge because they've done a lot of good stuff. They also sell shoulder pads on different types as well, so sometimes you can get Phobos shoulder pads, Aggressor shoulder pads, Terminator shoulder pads, regular Space Marine shoulder pads. So there's a lot of variety there, and it is all absolutely fantastic and well worth your time. And then the other guys I think are well worth mentioning as well are Warper 45. They've been around for a while and they do lots of transfer stickers as well. And as well as doing things like for the established chapters, such as the aforementioned Ultramarines, they also have things for the Lamenters and the Flesh Tearers. And obviously, as they're stickers, they're a little bit cheaper than the actual forged resin shoulder pads and are a little bit more accessible if you're looking at things on a budget and you just want to get, and you're not particularly used to working with transfers or find them a bit fiddly, then the stickers are definitely a good option. So I'd recommend Warper 45. So for the companies, I'd say if you just want some extra decals or some extra detailed icons, Warper 45 for the stickers. And if you want to splash out a little bit more money, definitely check out Marsforge for the full-on decaled shoulder pads with everything carved into it. So there you have it. There is a quick rundown of companies that can provide all your bits and gaming needs on eBay that are reliable, professional, and that you can definitely expect some really good quality service from. I've used almost all of these guys. There's only one I haven't used recently, and that's only because it's been a while since I've ordered anything from them, but their feedback should speak for itself. These are the guys to go to if you want anything reliable, and if they don't have something you need, then you can definitely let them know that you're all looking for it, and most of the time they'll let you know when they've got it in. But if there's any more out there, then leave them in the comments. Let us share the marketplace of the eBay secondhand market so that we can all benefit from getting models as cheap as possible in the future. So let me know who you go to, and let me know your thoughts. I look forward to hearing from you.
So those are the guys who I find to be very reliable and offer fantastic quality and service when it comes to shopping on eBay. And eBay is always a bit of a minefield anyway. There's a lot of pitfalls and a lot of things you need to be aware of when you're buying from them, and even when you're selling from them as well. So I think these are definitely guys to start off with. Obviously there's lots of other sellers out there who provide good ones, and whilst I know that there are a lot who I missed, these are definitely the ones that I go to again and again, so I can say with reliability and quality of service they definitely provide. But thank you all very, very much for watching. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube chilly stuff. While you're down in the comments, check out my website to see the services I provide, as well as my Instagram and my Patreon if you want to support, and or just look at some pictures of toy soldiers. I post my videos on Wednesdays and Fridays, so I hope to see you on the next one of those. Goodbye and have a lovely day.